we're going to dig into this one today because she is out there. She's a cover girl now for Harper's Bazaar, clapping for herself. That last part was on brand. And
She's the
she
only one.
sat for an interview for all of this with somebody named Caitlin Greenidge, who, as far as I can tell, is an absolute idiot. She was so dumb, it was so bad that I had to ask my team, who is this person? Now I find out, okay, for listening audience, she's a Black woman. She's features director at Harper's Bazaar. She was formerly the Hodder Fellow at Princeton University Center for the Arts, contributing writer at the New York Times. She had recent articles like November 2025, the vibe shift that wasn't reports of the death of woke are greatly exaggerated. June 2025, the institutions fighting to save Black history under Trump. April 2025, Tina Knowles, Beyonce's mother, wrote the mother of all memoirs, November 2024. This is how you #win with Black women. And then they're talking about the women who organized the 44,000 person fundraising Zoom for Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. There's more about how Black women mobilized on Zoom for Kamala Harris. So this is who Harper's Bazaar thought would be the right person to profile Meghan Markle. Mm-hmm. And the ridiculous exchange between these two. Here's Meghan on the cover of Harper's. I'm just going to say it. She doesn't look good. She looks sad. She's makeupless, which I'm sorry, but it's not good. She needs some eyeliner. The eyes are too close together, and she looks forlorn. I didn't actually ever realize how much work that eyeliner is doing on her. And here's just a little bit from the cover piece. A golf cart pulls up at some natural history museum thing she's going to, and the writer's there. A golf cart pulls up, the gravel crunching beneath its tires. The Duchess of Sussex, someone in the scrum announces. Megyn descends. Megyn is attuned to the girls. She asks one about her nails, another about what she's studying. When a girl mentions her love of languages, Megyn lights up. I'm learning French on Duolingo, she says proudly, adding that she just hit a 90-day streak. I don't know how any woman could see a young girl and not see herself in her, especially at that age, Megyn tells me later. Once again, Meghan Markle makes everything about herself, and then this writer gets into some of her absurdities, like the following. How do powerful women flex? Do they lead with deference or dominance? Megyn seems to lead with affability. The warmth with which she greets each of these men in the restaurant where they sat, and with which they reciprocate, is genuine. With me, her interviewer, where the power balance shifts back and forth. Sorry, no, it doesn't. Even Meghan Markle is definitely out of your league, madam. She is warm and open, and she always maintains direct eye contact. It's a skill she's honed since childhood. I was such a little nerd, she says. My entire identity was wrapped up in being the smart one. There used to be this show, I'm dating myself, but do you remember Studs? After school, kids would enact a little makeshift version of Studs to play. They were like, well, Megyn can be the host, she says. I had the personality type of, I can help coordinate, I can help organize, I can facilitate. I think I'm probably the same now. The fear of failure often runs in tandem, writes this reporter, with the millennial desire to achieve. When I broach the topic and ask Megyn what she's learned from her mistakes, she deadpans. You learn not to do it again, which of course is untrue in Meghan Markle's case. Link, as you've been calling her, she's, among other things, a disaster tourist who cannot seem to stop herself from taking advantage of places where people have suffered amazing hardship and injecting her photo op right in the middle of it. That's just one point to kick us off. Where would you like to go next?
Okay. Meghan Markle always says she's known as the smart one and that her whole identity is wrapped up in being smart. We're still waiting to see that. Where's that smart identity? Like, was it smart to leave the royal family to go sell jams, jellies, dog biscuits, and wickless candles? Like, you could be royalty right now. Like, all of these celebrities that you're trying to hang out with, and you're hanging out with the Kardashians, or hanging out with people who have, like, sex tapes and show their vaginas on camera, you could be British royalty right now. You know what I'm saying? You could be eating crumpets and scones. Like, they just had a massive
tiara.
state dinner and a tiara. Look at that state dinner they had recently where President Trump sat next to Catherine and Camilla and the king and the whole delegation. You could have been there at that massive, beautiful state dinner at Windsor. You're hanging out with the Kardashians at a party, and then you don't like the way you look in the photos because you look bloated, and you allegedly asked for them to be taken down. That's who Meghan Markle is. So she says she's this smart, genius organizer. We're still waiting to see it. You did like one drop of your products. I ordered the candle. The candle came without a wick. This is not even a stunt. I literally opened it on camera. Her candle that was $64 was not lightable, okay? It was a metaphor for her career. Nothing was igniting, nothing was lighting, there was nothing on the inside. So Meghan Markle, it's actually quite pathetic to see someone fall from grace so hard.
Right.
And let this be a cautionary tale to so many of the women out there who maybe even look up to Meghan Markle, though I don't know how you would have stumbled upon this podcast. The grass is not always greener, okay? You might think you're holding all the cards in life. You got to know what cards you have and what cards you don't. Meghan Markle overplayed her hand. She thought, I'm going to leave the royal family. They need us more than we need them. We're getting out of here. And in the Queen's dying days, they kicked up trouble. She tried to accuse them of racism. That didn't land. Even at the height of Black Lives Matter, people were like, I don't know if we're buying this whole racism story, you know, with Oprah. So every hand she tried to play failed miserably. She should have just stuck it out and been a royal, and she would be revered around the world.
In no world could Harper's Bazaar ever get Kate Middleton on its cover or to sit for an interview. Like, that is so beneath actual members of the royal family.
They'd have to license it to put her on the cover.
Okay, so let's keep going because there's more. So she writes about how, of course, she always wants us to believe she's just a mom with kids at home. That's what she does. And they're at an age where they're constantly learning something new. And you can remember as they face things that are insurmountable and say, I know it seems really hard right now, but trust me, that's going to come easily soon. I can give myself the same grace as a founder. She works it into every interview. A founder. It's amazing. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm a founder. I have my own media company.
Right.
You're a founder. You founded Spot On with Link Lauren. Most normal people don't run around referring to themselves like that because they know it makes them sound completely artificial, narcissistic, and insecure. So she says, I was a founder. Then she writes, there's no such thing, she says, that no such thing as perfect. I, too, get to make mistakes. Okay, she goes on and says, this is the writer for Harper's Bazaar. When I ask Megyn what she hopes her kids see when they see her working, she tells me, now most of us would say, hopefully they learn the value of hard work, right? I think that would be the first thing that would come to mind. They learn the value. No, this is her. I hope they see the value of being brave. It was like
What
so
is that?
self-aggrandizing. And then adds, they saw it when the jam was just a pot on the stove bubbling. Link, this woman is beyond. I hope they see my courage and how brave I am.
No, you know what's going to happen with these royal kids, okay? They're going to grow up. I'm sure they have like privacy controls and adult filters on the kids, you know, phones and computers. Someday, these kids, Archie and Lilibet, if they exist, they're going to go to a friend's house and they're going to Google their parents and they're going to realize, we could have been royalty this whole time. We could have been living in a palace and we're stuck in this kind of compound in Montecito with this crazy woman and her scrawny legs and her jams on the stove. I would be so pissed. Okay, if I turned 18, this is like Princess Diaries. If I turned 18 and I found out I could have been royalty the whole time and I was stuck in California with the Kardashians, I would be so upset. And I actually hear that there are some titles available if they would like to adopt me. The Duke of York title seems like it's available.
Yes.
I'm ready to be royal. Megyn, I love you and I'm so grateful for you. But if the royal family welcomes me in, y'all will never hear from me again. I will be over there having high tea and crumpets and scones and riding
First,
in
you'll give us the
carriages.
exclusive. Then you can dump us in the dirt.
Yes, I'll do the exclusive. But no,
All right.
Meghan Markle, fall from grace. We've never seen someone thud so hard. It's crazy.
No, I saved the best part for last. I haven't even gotten to the most absurd part, and it's amazing. It's amazing. This is the only area in which I will give this absurd writer
when they go to the
Caitlin
brownstone.
Greenidge, credit.
Okay.
It's awesome that she included this detail. Okay, so now she goes to see Megyn in New York City. We're in a grand brownstone on the Upper East Side that belongs to one of Meghan's friends. So, of course, Meghan, when she comes to New York, she can't just get a room at the Plaza or the Ritz.
Like the Hyatt.
She's right. She's got to stay in a friend's brownstone because you see, Link, she's too famous. She's too famous to walk through a lobby. Unlike every other actual celebrity in the world who stay in hotels just fine, including Taylor Swift, with no problem in very many cities, much less a place like New York, which is very used to A-listers, which she is not. Okay, the writer writes as follows, quote, "When I enter this brownstone, the house manager announces, 'Megyn, Duchess of Sussex,' even though we appear to be the only other two people in the house." And then and that harkens back to what we read on page 1, where she said they were outside the Natural History Museum in Los Angeles to receive a local group of girls. And as the golf cart pulled up, they yelled out, "The Duchess of Sussex." And she appears to have people yell this about her wherever she goes, even if there's no one else in the home, Link.
It's like Colonel Sanders is here. Like, why does she need to be announced like that? Like, the Duchess of Sussex? Who is that? Who is she? We don't have titles here. Like, when she walks into Soho House, is she like the Duchess of Soho House? We don't do titles here in the United States. But I don't think she was alone in the brownstone. I think all of her other personalities were in the house with her. So maybe they have to announce Megyn, the Duchess of Sussex, is here. But I've never seen someone dine out so hard on their title. I mean, she is dining out. And like, I have friends, they get divorced and they hang on to the last name because maybe the last name was better than the one they had, or they were married to a prominent guy, so they cling to that last name in society. And it's like, Megyn is clinging hard to this Duchess title. She was in the royal family for 18 months. I have stuff in my freezer that's been there 18 years. You know what I'm saying? So she's like, I was in the royal family 18 months and she's calling herself the Duchess of Sussex. She spent 5 hours in Sussex. Okay, that's
and
it.
they hate the royal family. They hate everything it stands for. Why is she running around using that title if all she wanted was, by the way, her privacy? It's weird to see you on the cover of Harper's Bazaar giving your, "We want privacy." And you hate the royal family. You think they're a bunch of racists. You think they bullied your husband. Your husband suggested they wanted him to die in his last interview with the BBC, and yet you still want to use their title? It doesn't really track. All right, keeping on here. The absurd writer talks about how when women are in the public eye, and they're multi-dimensional, Link, you may not know this is the writer, they tend to get a lot of flack. Right. The press doesn't allow women to be multi-dimensional. This is so bizarre. Like, this is how you get a job at this magazine. Why do you think that is? Megyn asks me. Here, I launch into a tangent about our culture's deep and historical distrust of women's voices in public. You know what I mean? I finally say. Megyn deadpans with, "Well, yeah." Okay. She's been so difficult for her to get her voice out there, Link, and her $50 million Netflix deal and her Spotify deal and all the other things she's done. Okay. Then she writes, this is great too. Not about Harry, but about H, as she calls him exclusively. She puts her hand on her heart when she talks about her husband. "He loves me so boldly, fully, and he also has a different perspective because he sees media that I wouldn't. No one in the world loves me more than him. So I know he's always going to make sure that he has my back. This nonsense, he loves me so boldly, so fully." Okay, cut to the tape of him in her fake World Series celebration, Link, and him staring at Kris Jenner's boobs. I'm starting to feel like he may not love you so boldly and so fully, sister.
Yeah, no, I think his soul is leaving his body. I mean, he just looks like a shell of a man. Like, that man who's just emasculated and beaten down, and they've kind of thrown in the towel and they're slouched in the big lazy boy chair. Like, that is Prince Harry to me. Okay, he's just acquiesced and he's in a prison of his own making, right? He is culpable. We always want to blame Meghan Markle, and of course I blame her too. But Prince Harry, you're a grown ass man, right? You're in charge of your choices. You allowed her to come in and take a wrecking ball to relationships with your family, to everything going on in the UK. You allowed her to drag you to the US. You didn't live in Hollywood. She wanted to go to Hollywood. So you have her in the driver's seat. You either need to man up and be an alpha and take your life back, or you're going to keep receding like that hairline.
There's a moment in every carefully constructed public image when the mask slips, and Meghan Markle's Harper's Bazaar profile didn't just let the mask slip. It ripped it clean off, handed it to the world, and somehow expected a standing ovation. Today, we're breaking down why this interview is being called one of the most embarrassing pieces of celebrity journalism in recent memory, and why it's damaging for everyone involved. Let's be honest about what Harper's Bazaar was trying to do here. This was supposed to be a soft power reset. A glossy, glowing rehabilitation piece designed to reintroduce Meghan Markle to an American audience that, according to the polling data, has grown significantly cooler toward her since 2022. Instead, what we got was something that reads less like a profile of a global humanitarian icon and more like a hostage note written by someone desperately trying to make you believe they're happy. The cringe isn't subtle. It's architectural. It's baked into every quote, every posed photograph, every breathless description. And the reason it fails so spectacularly is because the interviewer stopped being a journalist the moment they walked through Meghan's door. They became a stenographer for the brand. A mirror Meghan held up to herself and called a conversation. That's not journalism. That's a press release with a byline. Here's what nobody in mainstream media wants to say plainly. Meghan Markle has a documented, consistent, years-long pattern of inserting herself into the emotional center of every story she tells, regardless of whether she belongs there. Other people's tragedies become her tragedies. Other people's movements become her movements. Other people's suffering becomes her relatability. And this profile is Exhibit A. Watch how the narrative pivots. A question about her philanthropy somehow lands on her personal pain. A question about her lifestyle brand somehow circles back to what the royal family did to her. A question about her children, her own children, gets filtered through the lens of her victimhood before it gets anywhere near maternal warmth. This isn't storytelling. This is a woman who has made self-referential suffering into a full-time career, and she's very, very good at it. The problem is that audiences are pattern recognition machines. And after the Oprah interview, the Netflix documentary, the memoir, the podcast, the another podcast, people recognize the pattern now. The sympathy well isn't dry. It's been drained, filled with something else, and sold back to us as spring water. But let's not let the interviewer off the hook here, because this is equally their failure, arguably more so. A subject being self-aggrandizing, evasive, or reputation managing during an interview is expected. That's what publicists are paid to engineer. The journalist's job, the entire job, is to push back. To ask the question behind the question. To notice when an answer doesn't answer anything and say so. None of that happened here. What happened instead was a form of journalistic genuflection so complete that it becomes uncomfortable to read. Every claim is accepted. Every narrative is amplified. Every contradiction is politely ignored. The result is a piece that tells you more about the interviewer's ambitions or fears than it does about Meghan Markle. Because here's the dirty secret of celebrity journalism at this level. Access is the currency. You don't get Meghan Markle on a Harper's Bazaar cover by asking hard questions. You get her by agreeing in advance, implicitly or explicitly, not to. The profile you're reading is the price of the cover. And both parties know it. That's not an interview. That's a transaction. Strip away the soft lighting and the careful word choices, and what this profile actually reveals is something the Sussex's team absolutely did not intend to reveal: desperation. Brands in a position of genuine strength don't need cover stories like this. Celebrities with real cultural momentum don't need a journalist to spend 3,000 words explaining why they're misunderstood. The sheer volume of image rehabilitation Meghan Markle requires, ongoing, relentless, expensive, is itself the story. It suggests an anxiety about public perception so profound that it drives every decision. And the tragedy, if you want to call it that, is that none of it is working. The favorability numbers don't move. The projects underperform. Each carefully orchestrated piece of press generates a news cycle dominated by mockery rather than admiration. The harder the push, the harder the bounce back. At some point, The question stops being, why doesn't the public like Meghan Markle, and starts being, who is this all actually for? Because here's what I keep coming back to, and I want to know if you see this too. Every single major PR push Meghan Markle has made since leaving the royal family has followed the same pattern. Build up, launch, collapse, regroup, rebuild, repeat. But each cycle, the ceiling gets lower. The cultural impact diminishes. The mockery gets louder. And yet, the machine keeps running. The team keeps pitching. The covers keep getting shot. Which means either nobody around her is telling her the truth, or someone is, and she's not listening. And if it's the second one, that's not a PR problem. That's something much harder to fix. And it raises a question that no fawning Harper's Bazaar profile will ever dare ask. At what point does the story Meghan Markle is telling about herself become the only story she's capable of telling? Drop your thoughts below. I want to know what you think is really driving this.